This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, welcome back everyone. So in this particular video, we will look into the $100 method, which is the fourth requirements prioritization technique that we're looking into. Can you list down the first three that we have discussed till now? So first is Moscow method, must have, should have, could have, would have. Second is your ranking method, wherein you take all the requirements and specify a rank for each of those requirements. The third one was the Kano method. And now we are looking at the $100 method. Okay, so what is this $100 method? It is a very simple, but it is very effective requirements prioritization technique. Why do I say so? Because we should remember that when we are discussing about the requirements prioritization, we are discussing this with stakeholders. Stakeholders are human beings, and every human being may have their own specific, uh, you know, opinions and mindset based on which they set the prioritization for the set of requirements. So there is a possibility of conflict. Like one of those stakeholders may say, I want requirement one to be the must have requirement, whereas the second stakeholder may say, no, requirement five is the highest priority. So that sort of conflicts can work, can happen. So this $100 method is something which can help in resolving such, uh, you know, uh, sort of conflicts in the requirements validation in a very smooth manner without uh, you know without demeaning or without making any of the stakeholders feel that their opinion is not being heard. What you do is you take the opinion of all of those, you collect all of it, and then come up with a the final result, which gives you a clear, quantifiable proof as to which requirement should be having higher priority and which should have a lower priority. Okay, so that is the beauty of this particular method. So here what happens is, let us take the same example of food delivery app, because that is something which we have been using and it is pretty simple to it's relatable to understand. Okay, so what happens here is, first you compile the list of requirements or features. Okay, you say that okay, these are the list of requirements that we have discussed till now, and then you explain the rules of how this technique works. So what you'll tell them is, imagine there is a budget of around $100 with every stakeholder. So there are, say, three stakeholders in front of you. You tell them, all of them, that each one of you has $100, and you have to allocate these $100, or rather split these $100 into the requirements that you have in front of you, and say, okay, this requirement is more important, so I'll assign more of amount from these $100 to this first requirement. Then this one, I'll assign the second important, so I'll give a lesser amount, so on and so forth. So each stakeholder can allocate this $100 among the list of requirements that they have. Okay, based on whatever they seem fit. They can spend on single requirement the entire amount also if they feel, or they can spread across all the requirements. Then what happens is, after they have individually, each stakeholder has allocated that $100, you will consider that as the importance that they have given to it. Now you collect all of that information from all stakeholders and you analyze the results. And based on that, you can identify which are the high priority requirements and which are not. After that happens, you can discuss, and there could be some refinement happening in whatever allocation has happened, and all those things can take place. Okay. Now let's look at an example that makes things much more easier to understand. Okay, so now what is happening here is, these what you see over here, login registration, consider that as one set of requirement. The second one is restaurant search and menu option. That is the second requirement. Payment options is the third, and tracking order is the fourth. Now these are the four major features that should be part of your app. And now there's a problem in identifying the priority of which requirement, and then which one should we start working with first, and so on and so forth. So for resolving this conflict, what you're doing is you're using this $100 method. And here, let's assume that you have three stakeholders. One is the marketing representative, the second one is the IT manager from the client side, and the third one is the business head, or you call them project sponsor. Okay. Now these three are the stakeholders. Now what are you telling them? You're telling the marketing representative that, okay, take this $100 and you split it across these four requirements. Same thing goes with IT manager and same thing goes with the business head. Okay. Now, after this, what has happened is this marketing representative, he or she feels that, okay, login registration is very important. So they assign $30 to this one. Then they feel that payment options as well as tracking order both are equally important. So they assign 25 each. And for the restaurant search and menu option, they're assigning 20. Whereas IT manager has a slightly different opinion. That person feels that tracking order is very important. So he assigns $35 here. And then for login registration and payment option, equal distribution of $25 and 15 here. And similarly with the project sponsor. Now, if you see the sum of all these turns out to be 100, same here and same here. Now, based on this, can you tell me which is the most important requirement based on whatever numbers you see over here? Take a moment. If you want, you can pause the video and look at it. And then once you have done your analysis, then you can again restart the video. Okay, I'm assuming that you have done the required analysis. Now let's reveal the way you find it out. So what did I tell you? After every stakeholder assigns their individual allocation of requirements, then you take a sum of it. You can take the sum or you can take the average. At the end, it yields the same result. So you take the sum of these three. 30 plus 25 plus 35. How much does it turn out to be? 90. Same over here, same over here, same over here. If you do the summation, these are the numbers that you get. So $90 have been allocated to login registration. $80 have been allocated to tracking order. Payment options has got $70 and restaurant search and menu has got the $60. Now there's a clear cut majority in terms of which requirement should be having the highest priority, right? Because there's just one requirement with 90 points. So this gets the first priority. Tracking order gets the second priority, payment option gets the third priority, and search and menu gets the fourth priority. Now, what have you done here? You have asked the stakeholders to assign priorities, and then based on what numbers they have given, you have not done anything from your side. Based on you have just facilitated the process. Based on the numbers given by them, you have done the summation. Sometimes some techniques may mention that $100 method is to take the average. Well, even if you take the average, it turns out to be this one becomes the first because this average will be 30. This will be a little less than 30. This will be around 20, and so on and so forth. So still, you get the same result. Okay, so this is what $100 method is all about. It's a straightforward and a visual way to represent the prioritization of the requirements, which allows the stakeholders to express their preference, and you ensure that critical features are also getting developed accordingly. And here, as I said, once these numbers are given, then there could be a sort of a discussion happening where there could be refinement of the requirements. Maybe sometimes some new requirements can come up at this particular process. That sort of things are possible. But at a high level, this is what $100 method is all about. Okay, I hope this is clear enough. We will stop this video here. We will get into the RISE method of requirements prioritization in the next video. Thanks everyone.